think so.
I'm ready.
Yep.
Everything
Okay.
is good on this end, so I'm going to press the button that says go live. And it says you're live.
All right.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
Hello, Fiona. This is DJ Hamouris for Dulcimer, and we have Fiona Potts today. I'm really excited about this talk because Fiona has just taken over the editorship of the Dulcimer Players news.
Yes. Yep. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here today.
It's great. Omaha, Nebraska. My husband is from Lincoln.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
That's
we've been
close by.
in that area.
Yeah.
And are you experiencing real fall yet, or is it still kind of an Indian summer?
I think we had first false fall this week, and it was gorgeous. And then tomorrow it's supposed to be in the 90s again for a couple of days. So I think that's going to be the last little bit of summer, and then we'll be in real fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Summer's over though.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
Anyway, you have been playing mountain dulcimer for a while. I notice all those dulcimers back there. Do you play all of them?
Not as much as I would like to.
Mhm.
Especially with the two kids and now the magazine. Not as much free time as I would like to sit back and play, but my rule is if you aren't playing them, you don't get to get any more. So that's my incentive to play and practice. If I'm actually playing them, I can think about getting another one.
I like that. Sometimes beginners ask, why do people get more than one dulcimer? And I said, because the answer to, do I need another dulcimer? How many dulcimers do you need is just one more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
I like
Well, and I like to play on all the different tunings. So,
Mhm.
I want to have them set up for all the different ways you can play. And then I like the tiny ones. I've got a tiny one back there. And then I like chromatic ones, and I like the non-chromatic ones, and I like the bass ones and the baritone ones. So I'm gonna need a lot of wall someday.
You should make sure to check out Jeff Hames' studio. He has all four walls. It's amazing. Well, we want to know a little bit about you. You're home, and you said you have kids.
Yes.
You thought you were just going to have one baby this year, but you had one baby and a magazine.
Yeah. We were debating after Miriam came along, like, do we even think we want to have three kids? Like, how does that look? And we were on the fence, and you don't know. And then I took over the magazine, and we're like, I think the magazine is the third child, and I think that's probably going to be enough for us. We're gonna have our hands full for a while.
Right. So, how old are your kids?
Martin will be 3 in November, and Miriam just hit 5 months a week or two ago.
My goodness.
Mm-hmm.
My goodness.
Yeah, and Martin is a lot. He's a ball of energy, and he's smart as can be. So he always keeps us on our toes, and we never know what he's gonna say or do next. But it's always good.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. So,
Yeah.
So how did you end up hooking up with the dulcimer?
That was my dad.
Dulcimers.
Yeah, dulcimers, as you can see.
Yeah.
My dad started playing maybe 10 years ago now.
Mhm.
His dad actually had a dulcimer that we never really remembered him playing. My dad said he can remember him playing banjo, but never the dulcimer. And when his dad passed away, for a few years, my aunt had the dulcimer, and then she passed it on to my dad because my dad's pretty musical and actually plays. So he started playing, and he really, really liked it. And then it was in 2018 that I took my first class. I did one of Steven Seifert's 3-day intensives.
Great.
It was it was after a rough year. We had been living in Hawaii, and Andy was deployed, and I had been in a ton of pain and joint pain and achiness and having trouble doing things, and finally got diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, and we were just starting some treatments to make me feel better. But while Andy was deployed, I was staying in Virginia, and in like a 2-month period where he was deployed, I think my mom broke her arm, my dad fell and like wrecked his knee, and I was staying with my aunt, and like her dog died, and then the electricity in the house went haywire, and we were trying to figure out where we were going next. And Andy on a submarine, they don't communicate at all. Like, we hear nothing. It's very old school. Out on a boat, don't have any contact, so I'm trying to deal with this all by myself. It was just a few rough months, and we finally got settled in Virginia, and kind of looking at our life and realize, I'm starting to realize I can't go swing dancing 3 nights a week anymore. I can't go run and do physical activities like ultimate frisbee. I just don't have the energy. I need to find something else, to do, something else that I enjoy. And my dad suggested Stephen's class, and he let me borrow his dulcimer so that I could take the class, and I just loved it. It was exactly what I needed at the time. Just so refreshing for me to be able to sit and enjoy not being good at something. That you don't really have to be good to enjoy listening to yourself play. And it just opened up kind of a world of relaxation and enjoyment that I hadn't had for a while.
That's great.
Yeah.
And Stephen's a great teacher. I've sat in a couple of those myself. They're wonderful.
Yeah.
So if you don't know who Stephen Seifert is, he does these 3-day intensives, and now he's doing them all over the country again. And he takes everybody from complete beginners, like you were there, through advanced students, and everybody's engaged the whole time, aren't they?
Yeah. And he really kind of helped instill the attitude in me of take what you can, and if it's too much, if it's not sinking in, let it go. You'll get there eventually, and just do your best for right now, and you'll still sound good. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Had you had any musical experiences before that?
Yes. My dad's very musical, so we've always had a lot of music around. And I think, some of my earliest memories are being in church, in the pews in church, and my parents trying to keep me and my brother behaved and showing us the hymnals, and as we're singing, explaining how all that works. And we did church choir a little bit when I was a kid, and they had a chime choir. And I think I wasn't quite old enough to get in, but my brother was, so they begged if I could go too, because I wanted to do everything he did. And they gave me I just got one. Everybody else had 2 chimes, and they gave me one. I had the high G, and always I would have a couple notes every song and hit that high G, and I loved that. And then towards, I guess it was middle school when they started band. We were at a different church, because we moved around a fair bit when I was a kid too. But the church we were at, the church choir director, she played the oboe, and she was my hero. So I wanted to do everything that she did, and I wanted to play the oboe just like her. And they got me lessons with her, so I got to play oboe in band in middle school and through high school. And in high school, marching band was mandatory. And if you wanted to do band, you had to do marching band.
Okay.
And you can't really march with an oboe because the reeds are very fragile, and they're like they were $7 a pop back in the early 2000s when I was in high school. So I couldn't afford to, bust a reed every practice. And they were short on euphonium players, which is a brass instrument, which is a completely different world than woodwinds, and a completely different embouchure than oboe, but that's what they needed, so that's where I went, and I'm glad I did it. It was definitely eye-opening to see kind of the other half of band, and I really loved marching band. Lots of great memories and great friends from that. And after that, it was college, and I did oboe for like a semester, and it was bringing my GPA down because they wanted you to practice like 3 hours a day, because it was a class for all these music majors, and I didn't want to practice 3 hours a day. I just wanted to learn how to make reeds, and they weren't teaching me that. So I kind of dropped off band at that time and found swing dancing instead. So that was sort of my musical creative outlet for a while. And then, yeah, coming back to Dulcimer when we moved back to Virginia and been hooked on that ever since.
So you used a term that I think a lot of people don't understand, especially string players, embouchure.
Oh yeah, that's how your mouth works.
Right. So for an oboe, I know it's more of, you're completely like puckered up to blow through those double reeds. It's
Yeah.
very
Very
straight.
fine and precise, right in the middle.
Right.
Yeah.
And for the horns, you have of course, the round mouthpiece. And that's a different sort of thing that you have to get used to.
Yes. Yeah. Big difference. And I remember having braces and it wasn't fun for a little while.
That would not be fun. No.
Yeah, they came off. But a lot of people, well, I don't know how many people actually, but I know when I thought about brass before I started playing, I thought your lips were vibrating all the time and it was very floppy, but it's actually a lot of control in your lips behind the mouthpiece. So, it was very different from oboe, but it's still a lot of, control. So having a lot of control over those muscles from the oboe maybe helped.
Right. Each instrument requires different parts of our body to be focused upon as we're playing. As someone who had only sung and played piano to begin with, going over to strings was a really weird thing. I mean, the idea that I would get a pitch without putting any fingers down on the fretboard with the open strings, it took me a long time to catch that. It's a weird thing.
Yeah. So. For me, it's playing more than one note at one time. I really liked in the beginning that I only have to play the one string and I only have to worry about one note. And I'm working on doing chords and playing chordier, but I also like, a lot of Don Petty's where you just stay on the melody string and move your hand up and down. And that's the relaxing part of it for me. And then the challenge, the push is getting into those chords and doing those sorts of arrangements.
So do you have a group that you play with?
Not at the moment. During the pandemic, I was really, really regular going to Don's jam for his Patreon patrons. That's a once a week thing. So when I was pregnant and when Martin was small, I would make the effort to get to that every week. But since we moved here and then being pregnant and having another baby and everything, I don't go to that as regularly. And I haven't found, I don't think there's not a local Dulcimer group. I know there's a local like bluegrass jam, but I just haven't made it out there yet.
That's great.
Yeah. I play with my dad when I can.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah.
It's nice to have somebody in the family that plays.
Yeah. And actually my mom has even started a little bit.
Wonderful.
So and Martin loves to grab the tuning gears. Trying to break with that, but he's starting to understand the whole where the pick goes and how that works. So if you can keep him away from your tuners, those little pegs, he does okay. And he knows, like, this is my fancy dulcimer, you're not allowed to touch this one. If you break this one, I'll be upset. But like there's a couple back here that are kind of older that I'm, they aren't as important. If they get dinged up a little bit, it's okay. So we try to get him to stick with those ones, and he enjoys it. So and he really likes the hammered dulcimer. That's a new one for us, and it clicked, I think, a lot faster of that we're playing sounds for the song that we're singing. He kind of got it with Happy Birthday. He was singing Happy Birthday and banging on the dulcimer, like, pretending or not pretending, just actually doing it, just making a little song. So that was pretty cute.
So you're kind of channeling his energy.
Yeah, trying to. Yeah. I think
that whole redirection thing.
Yeah. Yep.
So I'm curious, do you have a background in journalism?
A little bit, a tiny little bit. So I studied political science was my major in college and English was my minor. And my first like real job after school, like kind of doing something in that field, was working at a local newspaper, which was really great. I had an awesome boss and some awesome coworkers that really were supportive, and just it's one of those jobs you just love going to work every day. And I worked on the calendar desk, and we would, all the local events that were happening would send us their information, and we would put it into the database and make sure it got onto the website and got on into the right spot in the newspaper, everything that was happening. And just when I was kind of starting to get my feet, I went out and did my first actual reporting job. They sent me to a little local story, and that was right at the end of my time working there. And I had known Andy for about a year and was moving up to join him in Connecticut because he had gotten stationed up in Connecticut instead of being in Norfolk. So I kind of felt right as I found my groove, it was time to move on. But that was, that's my favorite job that I've ever had. So finding something where I can put all those skills to use is really great.
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
And you seem to have fit in really well.
I hope so. I'm enjoying it. I can't make everybody happy, but I can make me happy. So so far it's been good. It's just kind of balancing it. It's a lot of big changes here, especially for Martin with the baby coming, and then I'm working now, and he's used to dad working because dad goes to a different building, and he understands that day to day, but I'm working from home, and so it's very easy for him to come in and want me all the time because he used to have me 24 hours a day access. So that's been a challenge for him, kind of getting used to that. And we're navigating it, trying to figure out different ways that I can get some uninterrupted time so I can focus and get things done. And Miriam, we haven't gotten her to take a bottle, so I'm the only one who can feed her, and they eat all the time, and she is 24 pounds and just eats all the time. She weighs as much as the average 12-month-old.
Wow.
She just eats and eats and eats. So yesterday, we tried her on a sippy cup, and she seemed to have figured that out. So that's a huge step as far as, getting some independence. If somebody else can feed her, that frees me up a lot, which is, I think, going to be helping. So it's been a few hard months and late nights and early mornings trying to make everything happen, but we know that these are the tough days with two little kids, and it's only going to get easier as I get my feet under me and figure out the processes and how, not just writing and doing the music, but also running a small business.
Yeah.
There's a lot of admin and accounting that I'm, it's not my area of expertise. So I need to learn all that, or at least learn enough to find someone who can do it for me and manage all of that side of things. So, but once we have all that, a little bit more under control, it's going to be a lot easier, and the kids are going to get bigger. And, one of these days, Andy's going to retire, and then we'll have a little bit more freedom to go and travel and do the festivals and meet people. And I think that's going to be the really fun, enjoyable side of things. Yeah.
I mean, you're really talking about, first of all, welcome to the wonderful world of women entrepreneurs of small businesses.
Yeah.
And you're really talking about the whole work-life balance.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a 6-month-old or 5-month-old, you have to figure that balance out, no matter what you're doing outside of the family.
Yeah.
And so it makes me really, it seems like you're really brave to have taken on this magazine. There must be something about it that really called to you.
Yeah, it really did. It was one of those YOLO, you only live once. If you don't take this and try to make it happen, you're gonna look back and always wish you had. And I think the music was really healing for me. So it's got a special place for me there. And getting through the pandemic, having the music to turn to, I'm kind of an introverted person, and so I don't need to get out of the house and see people as much as some people do. I don't remember feeling cabin fever during the pandemic because I had music to do, and my husband was home with me. So we played a game called Wingspan. It's a board game about birds all the time, and I had played music, and I was a pretty happy camper, which is, I know not everybody got to enjoy the pandemic, and there's certainly some things that were not enjoyable for us, but making the best of it and having music help me get through it was really important. And one of the things that helped get me through it was my dad. He's been a subscriber to Dulcimer Players News for a while, and when the pandemic started, he was going through his old archive, all of his back issues, and looking at the ones again and seeing which ones he was going to look at again. And then he would make a little pile and he'd mail them to me. So every month or two, I'd get a little packet in the mail of several issues of Dulcimer's Players News, and I'd sit down on the couch and I'd pour through it and enjoy it. And that was a really, really fun memories, and a connection with my dad that made Dulcimer Players News really special for me. So when I saw that Ashley was going to wind things down, I was 6 or 7 months pregnant and just saw that and thought, like, oh man, like, that's so sad. This is such a great thing. And, I understand why. But, everyone, I think, was who heard the news was sad to hear that it would be winding down. But I think, in the back of my mind, because she said she's going to run it through volume 50. And I was thinking, like, well, maybe in 2 years, when that comes around, maybe that'd be a good time. So we'll think about it and see. And then in May came the announcement. Actually, no, we didn't even see the announcement after Miriam came, and she was an easier baby than Martin was. Martin was something else. He didn't sleep much, and it was a rough start. And Miriam was very snoozy, much happier baby. And I thought, okay, well, my dad's here. He says he'll help, and we've got some support. I'll reach out to Ashley and see, like, and in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, surely someone must have reached out and decided to take over, or there must be something already in the works. But I'll send an email and just see if there's any opportunity to keep it going. And we kind of emailed back and forth, and we had missed the May issue because my dad's subscription ran out. So we didn't see the announcement that she was going to be winding it down at the end of the year. So I didn't know that. And so talking back and forth with her and learning that and thinking, like, okay, well, could I pick it up at the end of the year? Like, yeah, I think in 6 months or 9 months at that point, that would be feasible. And then we talked a little more and realized, like, the faster we make this happen, the easier it's going to be overall. So we just need to move things forward as quickly as we can and not wind the magazine down anymore and keep going. So I went from thinking, in 2 years, sure, I'll take over. And in 9 months, I'm like, it's next week. You're going to be it. But it really just felt like, for me, and I think Ashley too, the stars just kind of aligned. She lives about 5 hours away from us, and I think any farther would have been too much of a drive with Miriam, because she was, I don't know, 3 months at that time. I wouldn't have been able to go and get the transfer everything from her. And if I'd waited another month to reach out, it probably would have been a little bit too late. So just the timing worked, and I think she and I have a lot in common. I was watching her interview on Dulcimoon because that's actually where she first shared with anyone that we had a verbal agreement, and DPN wasn't going to be winding down. And I remember watching that, and it was sinking in, like, yeah, this is really happening. But yeah, a lot of the things that she talked about in her interview, finding the balance and kind of that, she moved around a lot too, and kind of having that outsider's perspective is something I related to. So I think we had a lot in common, and we hit it off really well. And it made the transition, I think, easy for us to hand off from her to me.
Now the difference being she has cows to take care of. You have
Right.
to-
Yes, the cows. And, cows stay cows, but kids, toddlers turn into kids who turn into young adults who turn into adults. They get more independent as the years go by, whereas cows don't.
They'll always need the same level of care. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think as far as a, long-term outlook, it might be a little tough right now, but it's going to get easier as the kids get older. I'm sure there will be unforeseen challenges as the kids grow too, but certainly as far as, compared to a baby needing mom so much, just to eat and sleep, that's a very different challenge than a 7-year-old or a 16-year-old or what have you.
So I see the first issue that you edited. I know you kind of worked with Ashley on that, but it's a great issue. And folks, if you don't already subscribe to Dulcimer Players News, just go to the website, dpnews.com. You got a copy of that cover?
I was just looking around. I think I've got one.
It's such a cute cover. I love it.
Oh, I don't have one handy because I was working somewhere else yesterday and it's in my bag. But yeah, that cover, oh my goodness. I love that painting. And I think it was a great way to start. But yeah, Ashley was very, very instrumental in making that happen. So I feel like I get the credit as the editor in the first issue, but it really, it wouldn't have happened without all the work Ashley put in to make the transfer happen quickly. And, she wrote several of the stories and put me in touch with everybody and was definitely, working hard to make that issue come out. So, and this next one is the one kind of all on me. So I hope it's as good.
And I know that Ashley had changed one of the features, which was we used to get a CD with each quarterly issue, and then she changed that to a playlist that we could download. And you've made yet another change. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I was, in the course of working on these stories and some of the songs that were submitted, I was going on YouTube and looking up videos to see what they were and see what they were about and do some learning on my own. And I thought, well, if I find these interesting and want to watch them, if I just save them and bookmark them and put them together, that'll be something else to go with the magazine, because getting the song sampler it's tough. Because a lot of musicians aren't doing CDs the way that they used to in the 90s and 2000s. It's just not the way that music gets distributed anymore. And YouTube is. I know there's challenges with how much people get paid per stream and everything, but right now that's where a lot of people put their music. And so anyway, I was putting these videos together, and then suddenly I had tons and tons of videos, and I ended up breaking them into a lot of different playlists. I had only originally intended to just do one kind of as a supplemental, a place where you could go and hit play and listen to all the music and songs, together, and maybe put it on in the background while you were reading, the same way that you might have done with a CD back in the day. So I really enjoyed putting the playlist together, and I think a lot of I can see on the back end how many kind of views and stuff they've gotten. So I think people watched them, not all 900 subscribers, but I think we got some good feedback that people liked that as an alternative. So I'm going to keep going with that. And I just see in the chat, we've got
Erin Mae says there's some questions about the Dulcimer Player News in the chat. Hi, Erin.
Hi, I'm just passing on a couple of questions.
Sure.
Kirk is asking if you gave consideration to continuing DPN only as a digital edition versus print. I know that was one of the things that Ashley wrestled with a bit too, so we'd like to hear your perspective on that. And then Mary Barnsdale is interested in knowing if back issues are available anywhere.
Oh yeah, back issues. Okay, yeah, we'll do one at a time, and I'll try to remember to get to the second one. But yeah, the digital question, that's the big question. I love getting the print edition. So, and I know a lot of people do, and a lot of people that I've heard from have said how glad they are that the print edition is continuing, because they don't get good internet and they don't use the internet very much. And I don't want to see the print edition go anywhere. I have no intention at this time of getting rid of print, but I do want to add a digital element, a digital version of the magazine, and I'm working on making that happen. But it's a lot of it's a lot of work, honestly. And the
Yes.
tech side of things, I've got some experience with, and my dad's got some experience with, but kind of the holding back is there just aren't enough hours in the day to get the magazine ready for print, and then also be setting up this other platform to run or host a digital version. But we are working on it, and I'm hoping to roll it out sometime in the next year.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I hope it's something other people are excited about. I think, especially, well, so this upcoming issue, a lot of the stories, not everything, but are kind of internationally themed and about how music takes you places. And seeing the Dulcimer, it's got a following in England, and there's a guy who runs a shop in Germany, and he's reviving I don't know if it's a revival, if it was never there as the Dulcimer. They had the Scheitholt, but he's creating a Dulcimer scene in Germany. But the international subscription rate is like $75 or $70 because shipping is so high. But I think if we had a digital edition, that would be much more affordable for a lot of people. So I'm excited to have that option, and for people who aren't into print as much as I am, because I think I'm a bit of a relic. I'm an old soul. I like sitting and having the print and flipping through, and I think a lot of people enjoy that we spend a lot of time online, and it's good to step back and get a break. But on the other hand, I mean, the internet, we've got this. I've made a ton of connections online. The jams through Zoom that I'm able to go to, the festivals through Zoom that I'm able to go to. I mean, I can't go traveling. I went to Winfield. That was amazing, but I had, 2 little kids in tow. So it was kind of tough to see and do everything that I wanted to. And if I were trying to take classes, that wouldn't have happened. But when they're online, I can go to festivals that I wouldn't be able to go to for several years with, 2 kids to travel with, and who's going to care for them, and all that logistical, those logistical challenges. So the internet does a lot of great things, and I think having the magazine online will be great too. And I hope it helps the magazine become more sustainable, because something that concerns me more existentially as far as Dulcimer and the Dulcimer community goes is sustainability, and seeing so many things that were online just kind of disappear is, I don't know, things disappear on the internet and it's hard to get them back. I think everything dulcimer.com was gone for a little bit, and then it kind of came back for a little bit, and now it seems to be gone again. And then, other people's websites, like Jean Ritchie used to have a website, and it's no longer running or available. So
What was that?
Jean Ritchie's website,
Oh, right.
it's no more. So, where do these things go, and are they just lost forever? And I want to make sure that Dulcimer Players News doesn't disappear.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think, there's a lot of great information in the archives. So getting those up online in an accessible platform, I think, is important. And I think my plan is to have like a paywall for newer issues in the digital version of the magazine. but having the resources there for the community, like the festival guide and the club directory, those will stay, for everybody. You don't have to be a subscriber or anything for those.
Yeah, the accessibility thing is really important. Not everything needs to be digital, but sometimes being digital is the only way that it gets to some people. And being digital doesn't mean that everyone will have access to it if they don't have the technology,
right,
or if their library doesn't have the computers that they can use by the half hour or whatever. So, but having something that's more accessible, like this is why we've decided to do these live streams through YouTube, because we want it to be there. There are people who will never be on Facebook. They're not interested.
Yeah,
They don't want to do it. So we get a chance to make this more accessible to those folks who are not social media mavens, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my dad. He's never on Facebook. He won't do Facebook. He does Twitter and YouTube and all those things, but he never got on Facebook. So it for me, for the magazine, it's about trying to reach as many people as I can. People who want print and people who don't want print. I mean, I don't know that many Gen Z people personally, but they're all digital, they say. I need to get on TikTok and figure out how that works, because if the Dulcimer is not on TikTok, that's a whole generation of people who won't know about it. And I think we need to work to make sure that it doesn't disappear and that the community continues to grow.
You were talking about the archives.
Yes.
And Mary's question was about back issues.
Back issues, that's right. So I want to get some of the more recent back issues up online for sale. It's been on kind of the bottom of the priority list to make those. So if there's one that you want, for now, you can just send me a message and I'll get one to you if I've got it. I have more of the recent ones.
That's editor at dpnews.com.
Yeah.
Editor at dpnews.com.
Yeah.
And I know Erin will put that in the chat.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. Yeah, and I will have them up on the website. Right now, like this week, I told the graphic designer I'd have all the content for the next issue ready for her by the end of the week, by the end of this month. So I'm working hard to make sure all that comes together, and then I'm going to get back to some of these other projects, like getting the back issues available on the website that you can just order, and I can have everything I need and send it to you. And getting back to working on the digitization project, getting the trying to get a digital version of the magazine going, and the Dan had the magazines scanned and then got transcripts made, I think, and they had been hosted on a website called issue.com, but they changed their their platform a little bit. They used to have their own like reading app, and they got rid of that and they changed their prices. So just starting out, I decided I'm gonna not host that anymore. So I closed that account. So I don't know I think there's a few that you can still see, but you get a message that says this is no longer hosted. And the other project that I want to get moving on is putting them on archive.org instead, which is a free platform. And I really like archive.org's mission personally, and I use them for a lot of research and reading online. So I think that would be a good home for them instead of a paid platform.
Okay. I'm really glad that you're looking to that, because it's a huge part of the history of the community. 50 years of it, right?
Yeah, 50 years. The next year is volume 50, which is a big milestone. And I have planned for next year. There's 4 issues, and there were actually 4 editors before me. So I'm gonna dedicate 1 issue to each of the past editors and focus on some stories and events that happened during the time that each editor had tenure, and pull some of the articles from the archives because they're really good.
Yeah.
And there's people who maybe we don't think of anymore who had a big role in the community, decades ago. So I'd like to get some of that, back out in the light. Right now they're all in that filing cabinet, and I want them to be seen and have people enjoy them. So that's my plan for next year. So, but I also want to have some newer stories too. So it's not just going to be, reprinting the old things, have some new things to do. But that's the plan for year 50.
Well, I can't help but feel in our conversation how fortunate the circumstances are that you decided to do this, that you stepped up and talked to Ashley at just the right time, and that Ashley took it on to help you get started with it. And I know she'll be willing to, occasionally answer the phone when you go, what happened with X?
She gets questions and she forwards me emails, and yeah, she's definitely, she hasn't abandoned me. She's definitely a support, and I know she's there if I have questions or need anything.
Right.
Yeah.
And I love the way you're looking at keeping the history, looking back and moving forward, changing at the times as at the level that you can manage. I mean, as an entrepreneur, you can only do so much, right? At a time.
Yeah. I tend to try to bite off more than I can chew. So I hope that, I don't push too hard, too fast, and muddle things or make things more difficult, that we can move forward at a steady pace and get it right. But yeah, I'm definitely very lucky. I'm glad my dad was here to boost my confidence and say, no, I think you can do this. And I'll be there to help when you need it. And my husband Andy is also incredibly supportive. I mean, he works full time. He's been the breadwinner of the family, and he also helps so much at home. So lately, we have a sitter in the mornings who comes and helps, and I get some work done in the mornings. And then the afternoons, I have the kids, and then he gets home from work all day. We do dinner, and then he'll manage the kids for an hour and a half while I try to get a little bit more work done. And then it's into the bedtime slog. And maybe after the kids have gone to bed, if I'm not exhausted, I get a little bit more work done. And then I wake up early before they wake up, and I try to get a little bit more work done then. And but he helps so much with the kids and cleaning, and just he's got them at the playground now. He took off work this week so that I could kind of get caught back up on stuff, because earlier this month the kids were sick. They both came down with stomach bugs, and then I got a stomach bug, and the sitter was sick, so she wasn't here. So I was having a hard time getting stuff done, because I can't get anything done when it's just me and the kids. And then my dad had COVID. So they weren't, my parents weren't really able to help out because he was isolating, and my mom, she was kind of trying to make sure he was doing okay. So it seems like there's always something going on, but Andy's very supportive, trying to help me make this happen, because he loves the dulcimer too. He doesn't play, but he appreciates what music does for people, and the important role that it has in society. And he wants to make it happen, and he knows how much it means to me, and he's really making it feasible. Yeah.
Well, I want to just express my gratitude for you taking it on, and taking on in such a 360-degree way. It's like, I got these kids, I got to deal with life, and I'm really happy to be doing the work, is what I'm hearing from you. And I hope that it will serve you as well as Dulcimer Players News has served us all for 50 issues.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And I look forward to seeing what you're doing for the next year.
I'm excited about it. I've been really enjoying looking through the archives and digging interesting tidbits out to share. Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks so much. And check into the video later On YouTube, people may put comments in that
Oh, yeah.
you might want to comment too. So if you
Yeah.
have any questions for Fiona, put them in the chat. I know a lot of you watch this after we do the live stream. And thanks to everyone who's been tuning in today. And we're going to say fond farewells. And thank you so much, Fiona, for taking the time out of your very, very busy life.
Yeah, no, I'm so glad to be here. So thank you.